Good evening, good evening, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Blacknificent Show, a show that seeks to spotlight Black excellence and engage issues society. In our show today, we have I don't know how to really describe this person. He's someone that I look up to. I would like him to really introduce himself, but since I've met him, my life is really taking a turn up, if I may put it. So I'd like, and Tate Moarinyana, I welcome you, Tate Moarinyana, on our show today when we talk about family life in Black communities. Can you just please, for a few minutes, just introduce yourself to us and to the Blacknificent viewers at home?
First of all, I'm Moarinyana Molaluhi, the fourth son of Angelina and Simon Metsimolaluhi. So I was born and raised in Paris and then moved over to Joburg. As we all know, we all migrate to Joburg to get greener pastures. So I became interested in engineering at a very young age, where I actually pursue engineering as a career. But recently, I actually diverted from my first love of engineering, which is engineering, and then I'm doing project management, where I actually met Mr. Ramokhaya.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. You know, it's so amazing that today we met. Engineering should be the topic we are engaging, but
Yes.
For some reason we'll be talking about family life in Black communities, and the reason why this is, and the reason why this is that I've made some observation about you since I met you, and before I engage on my observations on you, is that I can say that in a lot of people, in a lot of Black people, we have those that have centralized family, and you'll hear them making assertions like, I live for my family. You'll hear them, my wife and kids are the most important thing in my life. So it seems like their whole life is centered around family. Then we have those then who have segmented the family life, while other aspects of their lives, like careers, their religion, are more central. So in other words, they neglect part of family and they start looking more into their career. Then we have your workaholics, we have pastors who go to church and forget about their families. But with you, my observation then comes in. I've observed that you are family, it's central in your life. And if I am right, why is it so? And why should family be central even in other people's life?
Okay, let me put it this way. For me, and I think this applies to any other person or majority of the people, family is central to me because, you can do anything you want, wherever you want, but ultimately your family is your backbone. Without a family, you can achieve anything you want to achieve, but that achievement is actually a one-person achievement. But with a family, you actually get the joy of actually celebrating whatever you've done with everyone else around you. So that's why with me, family is so central and very important.
Wow, thank you. That's such an inspiration. I think it's unfortunately that we can't bring back our previous conversations when we are working. But now, according to you, what is the principal function of family in society?
Okay, in my view, I would say, a family, the principal function of a family is to actually set the stage for the next generation.
Okay.
In a sense that, remember, for you to get to a family stage, when I say a family stage, I'm talking about parents.
Okay.
No longer talking about me, my siblings, and my parents. I'm talking about the stage where I am at the moment, setting the stage for the future generation. The families, the principal function of the family, in my case, I would say, is to set the platform for my children, for example, to actually have a better life. Not the life that I lived. I don't wish them to have that kind of a life, but their life should actually be so straight, or they should have all the tools they need to make their own decisions. And that is actually entrenched in the family.
Oh, okay. Wow. Talking about the life that you have previously lived, that you don't want your children to live. I can see with age, I don't have to ask your age, but I can see that you are an apartheid generation, if I may put it, in that you grew up in those days of apartheid. So
yes,
so I think I'm right.
That is true. I mean, my first daughter is 15. My second daughter is 9. So I'm beyond the youth stage.
Yeah, no, you are.
Yes.
Talking about that past, talking about past,
yes.
When we look at the historical evolution of family life, especially in Black communities, there are major differences of the past and of the present.
Yes.
And now I would like to make my premise in this question by acknowledging the fact that we cannot speak of the past as something that ended, that was just a timeline event. But we need to acknowledge that there are remnants of the past that are still in play and are affecting our society in this generation. How was the family life before apartheid, and how is the family life post-apartheid in this democratic generation?
Okay, let me go back to where we started. I indicated that I was born and raised in Paris and then moved to Joburg. And the reason why we actually moved to Joburg is because where I was born, my father was not around us all the from Monday to Friday. He used to work in Vereeniging, and then we were all left with our mother in Paris. And then he would come back home during the weekends. As you can imagine, he spent 2 days with us and he's gone. So we are left with the mother, and then in that period, you would find that whatever you do, the point of reference or the person you can actually communicate anything in your life with is only your mother. And this actually created some form of a disconnect up until we moved from Paris to Gauteng province, I would say, which was then Transvaal. Yes.
So going to this point,
yes.
this point of disconnect, like you're just revealing the fact that how the migrant labor laws of apartheid had negatively affected the family life. And one of them, it was the fact that you as children, you never had the privilege and the benefit of having the father figure involved on your daily basis. So how deep are the effects of this part of the apartheid policies when it comes to the Black society today? How deep are the effects?
I would say the effects are very devastating in a sense that, I spoke about my father. Even today, he's gone, but I still don't know him that well. So you can imagine the only person I can very, very, very well relate to was my mother, even though my father was part of the family. So it was not his wish for his family to be like that, but it was the situation, and he had to go through that whole thing.
Yeah.
So, but if you look at that, I wouldn't say our situation was unique, in the sense that there were a lot of fathers from similar areas who were actually migrating from Parys or all over the country towards Johannesburg. And you can imagine we experienced different upbringing. I think I would talk about my generation. So all of us, we were actually affected in one way or the other. And unfortunately, not in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So can you elaborate in terms of when you look back now, what is it that you can say that those events, or rather that past, made you to miss having a father as an adult? Like looking back to say, if things were different, what is it that you feel like could have been different on that base?
You know, if I were to move time backward, I would say if the system, when I say the system, I'm talking about the apartheid system,
Yes.
had not created the cultural boundaries.
Okay.
And what was actually in place during their time. When I say their time, I mean our parents' time, where the industrialization was actually centralized to a certain part of the country, where everyone has to move from one place to that place, but in a very regulated manner. And not everyone was actually allowed to have that freedom of freely moving between the two places, or his place or the place of work, on daily basis. So I think that if I don't know how can I put it, but if I were to put it in a way that what I would have wished could have actually happened is that the apartheid government didn't care about the Black society.
Yeah.
So they actually celebrated the disconnect between families, in a sense that you divide and rule. You cannot unite and rule.
Yeah.
So that's how this whole thing actually affected my generation, I would say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No. I get that, on how really the apartheid government really celebrated that division. But now, just to take a turn, the black family has, or the Black society rather, has a family hierarchy, and I observed that in that hierarchy, it's patriarchal. That hierarchy is kind of patriarchal. So I've heard there's the debate between patriarchy as a result of tribalism, or patriarchy as a result of colonialism, or rather apartheid in this case. So it's patriarchy, is the crisis of it's patriarchy as a result of tribalism, or is it a colonial agenda?
I would say it's a cultural thing.
It's a cultural
It has
thing.
got,
Okay.
yes, it has got nothing to do with apartheid or so. It's
Okay.
it's like even if you look at the animal kingdom, the father is the head, and then the father will try to push his own ideas or his own agenda to his or her, to his family. Sorry. So I wouldn't say apartheid has got nothing to do with patriarchy.
Oh, okay.
It's just a natural thing. Men saw themselves fit or or more muscular than women, and they felt that they need. It's not part of the colonialism.
Oh, all right. No, I get that. Now let us move to this one. A lot of family, a lot of children in the Black society. Like you said, you were raised by your mother while your father was working in Gauteng. A lot of Black children in the Black community are actually raised without fathers. The crisis of fatherlessness in our society, in our Black society, how is it affecting a child's development?
Number one, I would say lawlessness.
Okay.
Usually where there's no father figure, the law seems to fade away, in a sense that, especially between the boy and the mother, because the relationship between the mother and the boy is always so sweet. It's like the relationship between the father and the daughter.
Yeah.
So, for example, I will talk about my daughters. They do funny things, but instead of actually going hard on them, I will actually go hard on myself. So basically, the absence of the father figure in our families nowadays actually creates a society of, I would say, a generation that actually make their own decisions based on their friends. And, in most cases, those decisions are not actually good ones. So that's how bad that the fatherless families or the kids who grow without their fathers being present actually go through nowadays.
So how then do you because we've seen some feminist movement, the feminism movement rising up in our society, in which it was challenging a lot of norms of patriarchy and of how fatherhood came into play. Do you think for some reason the new gender roles that are playing out now against those who are more traditional back in the days, do you think in this generation it has affected the increase of fatherlessness, or it is just something that men opt for to run away from responsibility?
I would say I think it's a simple thing of where men run away from their responsibility. I wouldn't say it's the feminists who are actually creating havoc, but we can strike a balance between two genders.
Yeah.
And when the balance is stricken, you find harmony. So there's no issue there. I'm an example of that.
Okay.
My wife is independent. She doesn't have to listen to me to do anything. But the relationship we have is so special that you call each other into order if you get out of way. So I won't say the feminists are actually creating a problem for the male figures in society. It is the male figures who feel threatened, I would say. And in return, some of them actually ended up leaving their kids because of having powerful women, which is one thing we should embrace in our society.
So for the sake of depth, can you give us a scenario so that we might see how we can learn from one of the scenario that played out that you feel like as young men or as a young generation we can pick up and learn some few nuggets when it comes to that balance of roles at home?
Okay, I will also make an example my own family, because this is where peace prevails. And like I said, anyone runs his own show. When my wife has to decide on anything, she's free to do that. And I will tell you one secret, which most couples go about without, not without, actually they cannot go on with their lives without actually knowing this thing. For example, my wife doesn't know how much I earn. I don't know how much she earns. But wow. Everyone has got, no, true, but everyone has got the responsibility inside their house. I know what I need to do with my money inside the house. She knows what she needs to do with her money inside the house. And that has been in place for the past 15 years with no issues. Wow. No issues whatsoever. She's never, in that 15 years, she's never asked me, how much are you earning? I've never asked her, how much are you earning? But everything is automatically happening inside the house. The kids go to school, the kids never go to bed hungry. I would never go to work without money. She will never go to work without money. All those kind of things.
No, I can see how the balance is really playing out in this scenario. But
can I say something on that?
Okay,
I think also that works well for us, in a sense that, I think what breaks today's families, especially where women have got power, and they are doing things for themselves, which is a good thing. I actually appreciate that. Yeah. I wouldn't want my wife to be waiting behind me and saying, hey, where are we going now? What should we do? Those kind of things. I've realized one thing: the moment, and this is serious. The moment it's not the wrong thing, by the way. Let me put it that way. Yeah. It's not the wrong thing to know your wife's salary or your wife knowing your salary. Yeah. But the danger with that is that when you spend your money with your wife's salary in mind. Okay. And when your wife spends her money, she spends her money with your salary in mind, meaning she's doing double planning. She's actually spending her salary while planning your salary. And then you're doing the same thing. And the bad thing about that in society is that you end up actually committing yourself with things that you cannot afford. Knowing that you've got double salary, you basically, because you are planning about your own salary and someone else's salary. But if you don't know someone's salary, I will tell you, when I do the planning based on my salary alone. And then my wife's salary is a complement, and on her side is the same. And then the outcome of two of us is actually amazing.
Okay, how is that? How does that outcome? It might not only be in the example that we've just given. Yes. I think this is just an example to show the balance. But now, how has that outcome of your balance influenced your children positively in their upbringing, since both of you are kind of involved in really growing your children?
Okay, let me put it this way: to the children, because this is you see, another thing about the family is I know we as Africans, we believe that families are not planned. Yeah. Okay, but even without the plan, there has to be a discussion. My dream before we even have a first child was to have two kids, which I have today.
Okay.
And that was debated before even the first one arrived on this planet. Yeah. So their arrival in the picture actually found a platform that was created by their mother and myself. Yeah. And actually, their part is to actually enjoy the ride. We do inform them about how things are done in the house, but they are not actively like involved in terms of who does what, who does not do what. They don't know. Their life is taken care of by both their parents. They don't know who's paying what, who doesn't pay what.
Can you please share that story? I remember you once told me a story,
yes.
and it's very interesting, that story about how you would when after you guys have eaten dinner and you take your plate and you take your wife's plate and you take it to the kitchen, and how your children has really learned from that. Can you just for our viewers just give them that story? I think there's something to
all right. Yeah, I think this is one of the most important. I would say it's a small gesture, but it is very important in actually changing the mindset of minors within the family structure. Because I hope I'm not wasting your time, but I will just slightly. Yeah. Okay. Inside the house, when our kids look at us, they look at me as the father. They look at their mother, obviously, as the second in command. But you know, we have worked so hard on that they don't see me as the first in command and see their mother as second in command. They see us, both of us, as first in command. So they don't have to ask something from me alone or from their mother alone. Whoever is present, they can actually freely ask for whatever they would like to ask. Now, going back to what you've just asked me, usually this actually took place long before they even got born. I would actually invite her into my flat, and then when she get to the flat, instead of actually going out to buy food and do this, I would actually cook for her. And then I'll cook a storm, and then we will enjoy that, and then I will wash the dishes, wash everything, and she will be the queen, basically.
Okay.
And now, after marriage, the story that I actually related to you recently is that usually when we eat at home at night, I would actually eat, and then whoever finishes first normally is the one who would actually take her plate and then take it to the kitchen, and whoever will be next, that plate will be taken by the same person, and then so on. But this used to be done by the mother most of the time. But